So the Agama Pride heading down over there. My name is James Hendry, and David is on camera today in his cycling gloves. I don't know where he's going to be cycling today, but time will tell. Scott is out as well, and I'm told that Djuma is on strike. That's not actually true. They're having some technical difficulties, which probably means that Byron's having a lie-in. And so we're unable to broadcast from there today so far, but with any luck, they will come to us as expected. Now, yesterday I announced that Byron would be driving. That was my mistake. I didn't realize that he was not driving yesterday, and so that's why he didn't appear. There wasn't a problem other than they were supposed to be on doing other things, basically. So that's why you didn't see him. We are probably not going to follow those cubs too enthusiastically just yet, simply because there are two lionesses behind us, and there is a herd very close by, and one of them is eyeing out the herd quite nicely, and I'm just going to flick the car around so that you can see that. They're also heading to what we call a non-off-roading zone, which, David, is an area that we cannot? That's correct. Cannot drive in that area. So let me just turn round. The lionesses might just go and sit in there. But we've got two over here, and we've got a kill that they made yesterday. But look at this fine specimen of leonine adulthood here. I see the punters are arriving already. And all of them, of course, are mothers. This one no longer lactating. And what's interesting to me here, I think, is that these lionesses do not look full. And Scott was saying to me that since the herds have arrived yesterday, he felt that the lionesses have continued to look much thinner than their cubs and than the males, and that perhaps they're just not eating themselves into oblivion like lions normally do. I'm not sure why the punters are here and not with the rest of the cubs. It's strange. Anyway, we're going to see what they do, because the opportunity to hunt here is very good. Right, now I believe that we have a very special guest on drive today. He is probably off to the southwest of where I am now, southeast of where I am now, and his new name, is Ninja Scott.
Ninja Scott is out of view, but happy World Vulture Day. And that, I'm guessing, is a white-backed vulture, possibly already heading off in search of a carcass to nibble on. There's another one actually coming from behind, so possibly they can see other vultures descending upon a carcass. Even though it is very, very early and cold in the morning, they are making the most of the migration bounty. Wonderful. It's been a fairly long and cold night spent out. Manu and I headed out at 8 o'clock last night to relieve James. And my name is Scott. I am very cold. And these are the lions we spent the night with. I'm teamed up with Manu on camera, as I've said. And there's quite a lot of interesting dynamics going on with this pride. There's a lot of coming and going and toing and froing. These two young males were not around for the previous 48 hours. There's another two young males, slightly bigger than them. There's 5 lionesses that we've seen so far, of which 3 are here. One of them has just joined the 2. Basically, we were with 5 lions last night, 2 young males, 1 big male, and 2 lionesses. One of the lioness rejoined the pride this morning. So basically what I am getting at is that 2 young males are missing, as well as 2 other lionesses from this pride at the moment. As far as we're aware, that would be a full complement. But we could be surprised by a few more members. The herds are very, very fluid here in the Mara, so we are battling to work out exactly who's who in the short time that we've been here. Now, these lionesses are strolling around, but it sounds like James's are meaning more serious business.
Hello everybody, we've got a lioness here stalking the zebra. I think let's go Facebook Live if we can. There she comes. She's stalking this herd. There's a young zebra in this group. Look at her, she's flat. Hello everybody, there's a lioness about to stalk a zebra. The zebra has got no idea that she's there. That's a big zebra for her. This is astounding, walking straight towards her. What is he doing? There's a vulture in the tree above watching carefully like we are. If that zebra turns its back, it's going to be in trouble. The rest of his kinship group is off to the left-hand side of where you're looking now. We're not going to show you them. And in that kinship group, there is a youngster. And every time he puts his head down, well, there's a chance that he's going to get caught. I'm just going to get my binoculars out, make sure that that is in fact a he and not a she. She's just hiding behind a bush. Ooh, she'll put her head down now. She is slightly unsighted by this because she's behind a bush. Here comes the rest of the group now behind. They have no idea that she's there. Her desire to hunt now is born entirely on the instinct to hunt and kill as opposed to for hunger. They've already got a little carcass in there. It's a lioness of the Agama pride, and they killed a wildebeest yesterday. Now it's the youngster that I think could be in trouble here. Yeah, that's the first one gone past. Here comes the next one, and there's a youngster just behind this one here. Here comes the little one. She could just watch them go past. The instinct to hide, probably almost as strong as the instinct to kill. Now they're running. She's thinking about moving. They're just slightly too far away. Just slightly too far. She hasn't given up. They've turned their backs now. I'm going to move the car around so that we can get behind her. Linda, you say it looks like breakfast time. It does, doesn't it? I'm going to move relatively quickly, everybody. I'm sorry about the noise of the vehicle. This is the price you pay for the internal combustion engine. Just going to get around the front of them. John, I missed your comment there. I'm going to get it again now. Sorry about this. I'm just going to get into a position where we can see them both. There we go. You got them, Dave? Lioness is just behind. There, she's running now. She's coming. Here she comes. I don't know if they've seen her or not. I think they probably have. No, they haven't. You know what? No, now one of them has. One of them's turned to face her. Now that distance is probably about, I'd say about 100 meters or so. So about 300 feet, 325 feet. And that is much too far for a lioness to attempt a hunt. Now, you see, I don't think she's taking this particularly seriously. I think she could have made a much more sort of concealed attempt at this herd of zebra. Now, the stallion has turned to face her, almost daring her to come towards him. Now, Jim, you say, is there only a single lion here? Jim, there are 4 lionesses and probably close to 13 cubs in the near vicinity. And they killed a wildebeest yesterday of that herd that you can just see in the corner of your screen. And I think that they're going to hunt again today because they're so close by. This really is amazing. Kimberly, you say, does zebra have a heightened sense of smell? Absolutely they do. Probably, I'd say, about 8 times as strong as ours. There she goes back towards the carcass that they have. And what I'm doing is just keeping an eye out behind me to see if the rest of the pride is not closing in. But they are not. Right, well, I think that's probably the end of this action, but let's just go and have a quick look. I'm going to move again. Lisa, I think you make a very good point. You say you're very surprised that these lions haven't figured out, not the lions, that the zebra haven't figured out that multiple cars normally means a predator. I think that's an excellent point. And certainly it's how we look for predators often in this area. But no, they don't seem to have figured that out. I guess it's why we're driving a car with an internal combustion engine in it, and they're still on the hoof, as it were. Just going to get to her. She's out again. And so interestingly, you know, during the course of this migration season, what we've had is a situation where the lions kill and don't eat. And so there is a perfectly good carcass sitting just probably about 3 feet from where she is. And she's just not prepared to eat it. She wants either fresh meat, but I don't even think it's that. I think there's the opportunity to kill is so enormous. They take it at every available time. Rebecca Smith, you say, have I ever seen a zebra fight back and kill a lion? Rebecca, I have not. And that's not unusual. It does happen from time to time, but I've just never actually seen it. I've seen it on television before, but I've never seen it live. Now, Laura, you say if the stallion did fight back, could it hurt the lioness? Definitely. Zebra are pretty vicious, and in fact the oft-quoted sort of statistic is that they kill, or not kill, they hurt more zookeepers around the world than any other animals. That includes tigers, for example, and they've got a vicious kick and they've got a vicious bite. Now, I don't know how many of you have ever been bitten by a horse. I have a few times. It's very unpleasant. They have very powerful jaws, and they also have an extremely accurate and vicious kick. And so yes, it is possible that a lioness could be seriously damaged by a zebra stallion. Now, these zebra are being very clever because they're moving in amongst the herd of wildebeest, who tend to be much more laissez-faire, shall we say, about their ability to survive, about their vigilance. And I think they're probably a lot easier to kill than the zebra. Right, for now, I think this action has died down, but we're going to sit here with this lioness and see what she does. Aria, you want to know how often these lions make a kill. Aria, I have seen these lions, not this particular pride, but lions in this area, make 7 kills in less than half an hour. So if they get in amongst the herd and the conditions are right, normally at dusk or at dawn, then they can kill up to 7 animals in a go. And there she is. She's not prepared to settle. Becky, you want to know how come the lion doesn't see me as food? She's just calling there. I don't know who she's calling. She's either calling one of the lionesses back, or she's got some of her cubs stashed just behind her. Becky, they don't see me as food because I had a shower this morning. No, that's not true. The reason they don't see us as food is twofold. Firstly, we're in a vehicle. They're associated the vehicle not with food and not even with people. And secondly, Betty, they associate the human being, the human form, with threat. They do not associate the human form with food. And if we approach them on foot, for example, normally lions will run away. If we approach the other group that I'm just seeing if they're around, they're not quite at the moment. They've just gone across one of the roads. If you approach them on foot with cubs, they will normally charge you, and they're saying, "Get away because I'm afraid of you." And they see us as predators because we evolved in this area, and this is we evolved in Africa, and we've been hunting them pretty much since we could pick up stones and throw them. So that's why we are seen as predators much more than we're ever seen as prey by most of the predators in the world, actually, bar a few, the polar bear and the crocodile being notable exceptions. Marvellous. Well, things have calmed down here. We'll just see what happens next time. We'll wait here probably for at least another hour or so and just see what these lions do. So if you are watching on Facebook, please don't go too far from whatever device you're watching on. We'll keep you posted as to what happens very shortly. Hello everybody on the interwebs again. I'm just trying to assess what's going on here. Let's have a little lay of the land. I'm going to swing the vehicle round. I'll tell you that one lioness is heading back into the hunting lioness is heading back into the drainage system there. She's disappeared now. The rest of them are in amongst that traffic jam on the main road. Right, we're going to just try and assess what's happening here. I think it's going to be worth hanging around for the next little while. While we do that, Scott Dyson, the ninja of the Mara, has managed to find himself a big, large, enormous, huge male lion.
He is a large male lion lying under this gardenia tree that he has been marking his territory on. I don't think he's huge. Of course, James hasn't seen it, so he's just trying to make it sound very impressive. But he's not a monster, and I think he's newly kind of taken ownership of this area. I'm not sure if he's alone, if he's got other coalition partners. I did see another male not far from here yesterday morning with 3 other lioness, so I'm guessing it could be a 2-man coalition. And I think they've recently come into this area simply because he doesn't look very old. He looks at about 4.5 to 5 years of age, and he's still also kind of settling the playing fields with the 2 young males. Well, there's actually 4 young males in this pride. So I'm sure as he gets more familiar with this land and as they get older, he'll chase them off so that he has the 5 lioness within this pride to himself. And it's very important that he does chase them off, because if he doesn't, then there's a chance that these ladies' offspring will try and mate with them, which is not what we want. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what these lions get up to today. It's very cool and overcast. They are quite well fed. I mean, they fed on a large wildebeest early last night. We stumbled upon them once they'd already made the kill. And they've been fairly inactive the whole evening. There is, however, many... Oh, that's a Fleming grimace that she's doing there. Processing some smells with a kind of different nose processing, smell processing organ called the Jacobson's organ. Now, as I said, let me just show you around the view and all the wildebeest around us before we send you down south to Djuma. They have resolved their problems over there, so they are no longer on strike. Byron was boycotting work. You'll have to ask him why. It sounds like they too are having a cold morning. Like I said, lots and lots of wildebeest. Those ones are quite far away. There are some others that are a bit closer. But for now, we are going to be sending you far, far away from here, much, much further to the south, all the way to join a cold Byron on Djuma.
With me is Sebastian this morning, and we've been struggling with some tech issues, but they appear to be fixed now, so our show will continue. Now, as I said, it's World Vulture Day, so it's wonderful to start with the white-backed vulture. And these birds, there's a lot of conservation that goes into vultures and that, and they do play a vital role in the ecosystem as scavengers cleaning up carcasses. We saw this the other day with the buffalo. The vultures cleaned up that carcass completely. There was nothing left. So they play a huge role in nature and in an ecosystem. Many different species of vultures, but we do need to protect them. It's a lovely view of that vulture just perched high up on the tree, waiting for the day to warm up. And oh wow, look at that, I've never seen a vulture do that before. Don't know what it was doing there. Maybe it had something stuck in its throat, just stretching the neck a little bit. So as I was saying, they're probably waiting for the day to warm up, and then they'll catch the thermals and start flying around and looking for food. Lovely view of it, lovely view. Last night, or early this morning, we did have lions drinking at the dam, at Vuyatela Dam. It must have been about 2:30, 3 o'clock this morning. So I've circled around. I haven't gone and checked the northern side of the dam yet, so I'm heading there now. And we'll have a look. Maybe we get some fresh lion tracks. Who knows, possibly find a male lion or the Nkahuma pride. We'll go and have a look around there. Shall we carry on, Sept? Yeah. Lovely view of that vulture. As you can see, I'm all bundled up again. This morning was very cold, and there was a cold wind last night. Almost like a cold front came through. Now, there's a lot of impala just off to my left. Maybe we can just scan as I drive past. It's always nice to see the impala. Actually a big herd scattered around. Now those will obviously help us locate predators if there are any around. The impala will alarm call, and we rely a lot on alarm calls actually in the bush to be able to find predators. Just scanning down in the drainage line, you never know if the lions perhaps, or even a leopard, have gone down and moved into the drainage and they're resting already. It is a very cool morning, so there might be chances of predators. There's a chance that the predators might move around a lot more in the early morning because it is still a lot cooler. Anna Marie, you say you hope I get more birds for our list. I hope so too. I think I'm on 83 bird species at the moment in the last week. Oh wow, there's one we don't have. I think it's a tawny eagle. Is it? It is indeed a tawny eagle. Did you get it there, Sept? Was it a bit quick? Oh, you got him there. Well done. Tawny eagle. I said we needed to get these eagles. So hang on, I just want to have a look around here quickly if there are any tracks of these lions. Did you see where he landed?
Yeah.
You got him there. It looks like a tawny eagle, and I can see. Wonderful, 84. I was wondering when we were going to see a tawny eagle. Oh, that's great news. So Anna Marie, your well wishes helped us. We got a new bird for our list. So I've been doing this bird challenge, trying to see how many birds we can get on camera in the space of a week and a half, just to see maybe we're lucky. And I'd like to get up to 100, but that'll be difficult, especially this time of year in winter. And getting the little birds flying around quickly on camera is very difficult. John, you asked if a vulture can fly if there are no thermals. Definitely, John. A vulture can easily fly, but they try and conserve their energy, so they rely on the thermals to circle and look for food. But they'll definitely fly if there are no thermals, without a doubt. Excuse me, I seem to have a frog in my throat this morning. Maybe it's that cold air. as I was saying, it's difficult to get the birds on camera. We've seen a few other species, but obviously to get them on camera is the trick, and that's what counts for this challenge. We need to get them on camera for everybody to see. And the great thing is apparently we've helped a lot of our viewers with their bird lists, so that's wonderful. They've been adding and ticking birds. So I think I'm going to continue around and have a look for any signs of these lions that we had at the dam last night. But while I do that, let's go back to James all the way in the Mara and his lions that he's got.
Right, yes indeed, our lions, everybody. Very nice of Byron to deign to get out of bed on our behalf. Thank you so much, Byron. And yes, you do absolutely have to get those birds on camera. And here we have the Agama pride. They came all the way back here. They're now climbing on a tree, which is quite amusing. And ooh, there's a mother just behind us eyeing the herd of wildebeest. She's very excited by that herd. Every time she thinks she's going to put her head down, she pops up and her ears start to smile. Was the pole in the way there, David? Sorry about that. I apologize. In fact, I'm just going to move slightly, darling. Mobile Paddy, you say, why are lions able to maintain muscle mass so easily? Sorry, I can't move right now. So the little one's coming past the front. I'm not sure that they are necessarily mobile, Paddy. They will lose muscle if they don't eat. And, you know, a lion 2 or 3 weeks without food is an emaciated thing. And in fact, you'll find because they have so little carbohydrate in the diet, it's not very easy for them to... Okay, I'm going to move now. It can be quite difficult for them to maintain mass in the face of starvation because they have to digest food. They have to digest protein for energy. And that means, of course, that they will, if they have to, digest, they will have to digest their own muscle if they are desperate for food. So they can maintain muscle mass, but I don't think they do it any more easily than anyone else. Right, Darby, we're going to have to move again because I've now blocked people's view. Sorry about this, everyone. Jim, you say, do the cubs mess up the hunt often? Jim, they can often mess up a hunt, yes. And so we are normally quite amused at their antics, but that's why the lionesses leave them behind. That's why they don't take them with them, and why they will leave them when they go hunting, and it's not until they're about sort of 18 months old or so that they'll start making a meaningful contribution to the hunt. I'm just sorry about this movement, everyone. I've got to get out of the way because there are a whole lot of people here who have paid good money to take pictures of lions, and they don't want us in the pictures. Alrighty. Now we're going to go across to Scott shortly. I just quickly want to show you, if that's all right, Becca, the cub pretending to stalk the herd behind that termite mound there. See that? Isn't that cool? So the instinct there to stalk and hunt is already strong within these lions. And although they're not making an enormous effort to hunt, the lionesses are now sitting and watching. I think you'll find if that herd gets too much closer, and I think it might, if they get out of the way, then I think we might be in for some action. So I don't think we're going to go anywhere. While we sit here with our lions, let's head back across to the great ninja of the Mara and his coalition of non-ninja lions.
Well, very, very happy that you're getting what sounds to be some incredibly cute scenes with the Cub Club. Interestingly, this male lion just tried to mount one of the ladies. It looks like he may have just peed on. Maybe he missed, maybe he got her. We'll never know. But he was just trying to pee onto the bush to leave a message there for other lions. Now, while you were gone, two interesting things happened. One young male, along with one lioness, was making her way towards these individuals, and he ran up to them, kind of really displaying his dominance, and he was targeting the young male. He didn't make contact with the young male, but he was certainly just letting it know that he was the boss. And then one lioness, who was all on her own up on a termite mound over there, came down and joined the rest of the pride, and she kind of did a sultry, seductive move and did a bit of a lap dance for this male. And he got up and kind of half-heartedly tried to mount her. They didn't make love, but there certainly was a little bit of kind of attempting to do that. So interesting stuff, and like I said a bit earlier, I'm fairly convinced this male is new to this pride and new to this area. Who knows where he came from, but he is definitely kind of working out the relationships between both the males in the pride, the young males, the sons of these females, as well as the females themselves. For now though, sadly they're flattened themselves and we can't see very much from here, so what we can maybe do is show you some of the massing herds of wildebeest down in the valley below us. There are so many of them. Absolutely awesome. This herd's been on the move for about 1 kilometer now. They're heading straight south, and it always just boggles me how they decide when and where to go, because there's a lot of backwards and forwards. It's not a slow and steady movement in one direction, which is often how our brains would imagine the migration to be. There's a general movement north into Kenya for these few months of the year, and then they turn around in a general movement back south. But the key word is a general movement. So in between, they will be heading north, south, east, west, backwards, forwards, up, down, and a lot of people say it's rain. That does make sense. If they see lightning or rain off in the distance, they'll head into that area with the knowledge that the grass will be greener after the rains. But a lot of their movements, I think, is not necessarily rain related. All right, well, we are going to probably think of moving off from here. I think these lions are going to be stable for the rest of the day. There's not too much prey around them. If there was, we'd stick it out, because possibly some wildebeest could stumble into them, and that would trigger the lions to be a little bit more active. But seeing as though they're looking quite relaxed, we will go off in search of any other exciting things to share with you, and also to line up for the sunset safari. So it'll be good to have as many options as possible for James and Taylor when they head out for the sunset safari. Okay, back to James and the Cub Club.
That was a strange link from Scott, but thank you, Scott. I suppose we should change them up every so often. We're still sitting with the pride. We're not going anywhere from them. Some of them have gone back to the carcass. Some of them have left the carcass. Some of them are heading back towards where they began earlier today, to the lionesses. They're not settled. We've got 2 lionesses here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cubs. Cubs now heading back towards the carcass, and 2 lionesses heading back towards where I think the very youngest cubs are, hidden across the main road. It's interesting, there are 2 vehicles there on the main road that I can see, which we're not going to show you with the camera, but I wonder if the lionesses aren't thinking to themselves, let's just go and check that everything's all right that side. Now, Aria, I'm assuming not Stark, you want to know how old these cubs are. Aria, the oldest of them, we think, were born in February of this year, so January or February of this year. And we think the youngest, well, we know the youngest were born just as our television show began. So that was now 8 weeks ago, wasn't it? 9 weeks ago, as of today, actually. We'd be mid-TV show. Was it only a week ago, David, that we were going through that tumultuous period of our existence? Oh, so it was. So that's how old they are. These ones that we're looking at here, the oldest ones. 6 to 7 months old. So interestingly, the same age as the youngest wildebeest. Now, that's quite interesting, actually, if you look at them. So those things are the same age as the youngest wildebeest that they're looking at. And the youngest wildebeest they're looking at probably weigh in the region of, I'm going to say 50 kilograms. So a 7-month-old wildebeest sitting around about 50 kilos, which is exactly 110 pounds. That's how much they weigh. And these lions of the same age probably weigh less than half of that. I'd put those lions at around about 18 kilograms or so. That sounds very specific, but somewhere around there, 18 kilograms to 40 pounds. And that, you know, when they're adults, of course, well, they will be smaller when they're adults too. Now, AMG, you're wondering about how old a lion has to be before you can tell its gender. You could tell its gender at birth if you could grab it by the tail and look underneath. You can tell straight away. But for us, it's basically as soon as they are walking, which would be around about, well, a little bit over sort of 3 or 4 weeks, if they lift their tails for long enough, because there's a lot of fur behind there, you can tell. Certainly by the time they join the pride at between 6 and 8 weeks old, then, yes, you'll be able to tell the sex. There's some groups of wildebeest now moving in 2 directions. One off towards the east, and one towards us here. Now these lionesses, I'm going to keep an eye behind us, because the lionesses that went off towards the cubs will easily be diverted by a group coming towards them. At the moment that isn't the case, so we're going to sit exactly where we are. Just make sure that we don't miss anything here. Now, Campy and Dewey's mum, you're wondering if the lion cub survival rate is higher than with other cats. Amongst the males, definitely not. The males, probably 1 in 10 to 1 in 15 will make it to adulthood as territorial male lions, you know, to take their own pride, take their own territories. The females, probably much more so, probably about 1 in 8, I would say. I think you'll find that if a lion is born at the right time, like these ones were, definitely born at the right time, any time sort of between February, probably a little bit early, say any time between March and now, you will find that the amount of food available means that the territoriality and the conflict over resources experienced by the predators just very, very minimal. And so I think that in turn will result in the lions having a greater chance of survival. Now, if we look carefully at this chap, as he turns round, you can see that's a male immediately. Very easy to tell. And that little, shall we say, package, not to put too fine a point on it, is obvious from pretty early on. Not as obvious as it would be in a dog, but certainly fairly obvious. Now, David, I'm going to... I think this tree's in your way. But if you look to where I'm pointing there, there's a lion. The 2 lionesses are now look like they're going to go on the stalk. I'm going to move. Yeah, there we go. Aria, you saying how long is it till the cubs start being helpful on the hunt? The answer is basically when they stop being cubs, Aria. So round about the age of 18 months or so. I'm going to go forward because I want to see what they're looking at. I need to see behind these bushes. I'm going to ruin this chap's photograph quickly, but he's got a camera that probably takes 500 photographs every 3.5 seconds. Look at the size of that herd now, moving towards the other lions. Can you just get out of their way? All right, let's go across to Scott while I figure out what's going on here. Apparently he doesn't know where he is in the Mara.
Who knows where we are? We are somewhere in the middle-ish section of the triangle. It's a long, thin reserve, and it's broken up into 2 major sections. One being the Mara Triangle, which is on the western side of the river where we are, and it stretches for about 40 kilometers, I'm guessing, and it's about 10 to 20 kilometers across, east to west, and we are about slap bang in the middle of that, the Mara River being about 5 kilometers to our left, the boundary of the park being the top of the Olololo escarpment up to our right, over there being about another 5 to 10 kilometers away. It's a slight pizza slice to the south, I guess. And then on the eastern side of the river, it's the Mara Reserve, which is where I was spending a lot of time over the last 2 months with cheetah. There's more cheetah on that side of the river. And one of us, possibly two of us, are going to head across there to see if we can't get some more cheetah action in the next couple of days. We're not too sure exactly how we're going to work it. There's just 3 of us here at the moment. My vehicle will be fixed today. Hooray! It's had a new gearbox put in. The last one decided to perish. And with 3 of us, only 3 of us, it's quite tricky to work out how to spend our time most effectively without exhausting our battery packs completely. Hello to, I think it's Dusa. You would like to know how close is the Mara to Tanzania? Well, it borders Tanzania about 15 kilometers to the south of us, in the same direction we're heading in. And the Mara then becomes either the Grumeti or the Serengeti, essentially. So they're all one big ecosystem. There's just essentially our human boundaries or borders in between, which is demarcated by cement blocks. Every, I think it's 2 or 3 kilometers is just a random little cement block, and that's the kind of line that the border is marcated by. So it is, to be honest, fairly easy to next thing find yourself on the wrong side of those blocks because they are so far apart. So you can go to Tanzania without a passport, essentially. Don't tell too many people about that. We don't want the border patrol clamping down on us. Although we don't spend too much time there. It's sadly quite a bad signal area for us, but we do intend on putting up, I think, another antenna, which will give us even more coverage. There's a bit of a corner of the Mara down there. Beautiful area, not very busy with tourists. That would be wonderful to spend time in, but we just can't at the moment due to the fact that we do not have any signal there. Good. We're going to continue our search for anything exciting. We're not going to be fussy as to what exactly it's going to be. And you guys are going to be teleporting yourselves all the way down to South Africa with Byron at Djuma.
Right, well, James and Scott both have lions in the Mara, and I told you we had lions drinking at Vuyatela Dam last night. Not sure how many there were. I think there was just, I've seen tracks of one male. Now, he headed north, actually just saw the tracks now, and he headed north and went down towards this drainage line, so I'm circling around to see if we get any tracks coming out. But I'm also in search of birds, and I'm now on 84 species, so I'd like to get to 90. That would be great if we could get to 90. Okay, quickly, let's go back to Scott. I think those lions are doing something.
Well, I said I wasn't going to be fussy, and certainly we have got spoiled, because if there's one animal I could have chosen to have found right now, it is this, a serval. And it seems to be on the prowl. Now, there are lots of serval here in the Mara, it appears, unless we're just very lucky in finding them. And they're an incredibly beautiful cat. And I think spending a morning with one of them, provided they allow us to, provided they're not too scared of the vehicle, to watch them hunting would be something absolutely awesome to do. I tried my best to spend some time with you and a serval not so long ago, but it decided to go for a snooze in the thicket shortly after we found it. Let's hope this one is more intent on finding its next meal.
Now, the fact that it's moving towards us, I mean, it's probably about 25, 30 meters away, but the fact that it is moving towards us indicates that maybe it isn't too concerned about our vehicle and our presence, and it will allow us to follow it, which will be an absolute privilege. Look at how awesome this is. Now, I haven't spent much time with Serval before. This is certainly the best ecosystem that I have ever worked in that allows you the joy of viewing them. And I'm not too sure if it is full-bellied. I think it looks like it may kind of be. I also don't know if it's a male or female yet. Let's try and get a zoom on the rear end there. They've got short tails, so it's not missing a portion of its tail. They've got a shorter tail than your average cat would. I think it's a female. I can't see any testicles or testicles, depending on how you'd like to pronounce it. I love these little white bands on their ears. How cool is this? Aren't we so spoilt from one of the biggest cats of the African kingdom, well, from the biggest to one of the smallest, lesser known, but equally as interesting and beautiful. Possibly more beautiful than a lion, actually, depending on your taste. Oh, that looked like possibly a testicular flew up. It was just in the screen there just to obviously check out this possible predator. I'm surprised the birds aren't alarm calling at it, actually. But maybe that's because it's so highly mobile and intent on something else. I've been so busy looking down at the little monitor, which I narrate off, that I've... Oh, there he is. She, I think. Yeah, Bex, let's go for it. I'm happy to do that. Becca, who's directing the show, has just inquired as to whether I think we should maybe do a little Facebook Live to show our Facebook friends this awesome creature. And I think that's a good idea. Maybe we'll get to see it pouncing on something, and even if not, just to be able to share this beautiful cat with as many people as possible will be quite grand. Hello everyone on Facebook. It is a great pleasure to welcome you onto this live safari from the Masai Mara. We are busy moving backwards in order to get into a good position where there is a serval, which is quite a rare cat that we don't get to see very often, and it seems to be on the prowl, and it'll be an awesome animal that a lot of you may have never seen before, and I'm looking forward to getting you some great views of it. Now, I reversed quite far in order to try and get ahead of it, and that way allow it to move its way towards us. Do so you'd like to know if these are ordinarily solitary animals, and yes, they are, like most cats in the world, except for lions and male cheetah. They move about on their own. Okay, let's just wait here. It's just at about 11 o'clock there, Manu. Perfect. Now, these cats are not as well followed as the lion and cheetah and better known stars of this Masai Mara ecosystem. Therefore, they may not be as habituated to the vehicles as those animals are. So, this guy, though, is seeming certainly very relaxed with our presence for now, which is a bonus. Faisal, you've just mentioned that the serval seems far more relaxed than the ones down in Djuma in South Africa, and yes, certainly, as far as I can tell, this is the most relaxed serval I've ever spent time with. It's almost completely oblivious to our presence, and this is a major bonus. Look at how beautiful it is. Now, it's an interestingly shaped cat. It's got quite long legs. It's longer legged than an average house cat, and it's got a slightly longer body, but it's not hugely bigger
than your average house cat. It's got a short tail, and my favorite characteristic about them are those large ears with those white bars across the back of them. How cool is this? Now it seems to me like it's on the hunt. It seems very intently focused, and it'll be using those large ears to try and detect the rustle of any rodents through the grass, or possibly any little chicks tweeting on the ground. Quite a few birds nest in this long grass on the floor. Squeaky Beth, you would like to know how fast are these little serval, and I'm sure they are lightning quick, incredibly agile, but I've never actually seen one hunting and or in action. But like most cats, they will have the blessing of incredible speed and agility. Incredible how it just dissolves into this long grass. Mac, you'd like to know if they are mostly nocturnal, and I'd say yes, they probably are more nocturnal than diurnal, but a lot will depend on the ecosystem you find them in. They will vary from place to place, and I guess a lot will also depend on the weather. Ginny, you would like to know if we would be able to distinguish this serval from another, from its spot patterns, just like we would a leopard or a cheetah. And yes, most certainly, every serval will have its own unique spot pattern and coloration. And if we were to be lucky enough to spend enough time with them, we would be able to work out who is who. Absolutely awesome. Now it's kind of moving perpendicular to us at the moment, so we will have to move again at some stage. It may even cross back over the road that we ventured off to get you these good views of it. And again, I must just stress how fortunate we are that it is so relaxed with our presence, because this is by far the most relaxed serval I've been able to spend time with and share with you guys. Oh, we're going to get some good views now, Mono. It's just going over the bank. Or was it behind the pole? Oh, it's right behind the pole. It's gone onto the road. Sandy, you'd like to know how old I think the serval is, and it's certainly fully grown, and a serval will become sexually mature, I'm guessing, at a similar age to that of a kind of a leopard, or most of the other cats. It's all quite similar. So it's probably anywhere upwards of a year to a year and a half of age. And like I say, most of the bigger cats do become independent and capable of looking after themselves from about a year to 2 years, depending. Hello Sadiba, you would like to know if the serval has a name, and no, it certainly doesn't, at least not with us it doesn't, because we have not spent enough time with serval, and I doubt we ever will, to be honest, to be able to justify naming them, or to be able to confidently name them and know and follow their future. That's the main reason we do name animals, just so we can distinguish them from others, and it only makes sense if we are lucky enough to follow them closely. Hello dear watcher, you would like to know if servals have dens, and yes, they possibly do, but mainly when they have cubs, not just at any stage of the year. I'm sure they will just sleep out in... we're having some trouble getting off here. Not just at any stage of the year. The mud is so slippery here.
You can see how our vehicle tracks have just been sliding there. We did have quite a lot of rain last night. Let me try and approach from a slightly different angle. Possibly with a bit more speed. Hello to Juan, you would like to know if this is a wild cat, and it is a form of a wild cat, and that it is wild and it is a cat, but its name is a serval. You do get a cat called an African wild cat, but that is more, it looks more like a domestic cat. It's quite a drab, not drab, but it's not nearly as beautifully colored, or doesn't have a coat quite like this one. Where has it gone? It's just in front of us apparently. Thanks, Manu. Don't want to get too close to it in case we spook it. It's been so friendly to us, so I want to try and return the favor to it. He's moving somewhere here. Is he still on the move? Okay, so, oh, there we go. Thank you, guys. Well done. Janice, you'd like to know how many cubs they can give birth to in a litter, and I don't have a clue. So if any of you would like to do some research on that and share that with us, I would be greatly grateful. Let's just stop here, get some more views of it, even though it is moving away. Like I said, one of my favorite views is of those white bars on its ears. Sarah, interested to know the lifespan of the serval, and I would guess anywhere between kind of 8 to 12 years would be your average lifespan of a wild serval, but that is a complete thumbsuck. I, again, do not have the necessary knowledge on this animal to provide you with the correct information on that. So whoever's doing the research on their litter size can also provide us, hopefully, with some... Ooh, let's just be ready for a pounce here. Can you see how it's poised and listening? It could pounce up at any stage. Look at that. Tail was flicking, and maybe there is something ahead there. Come on, catch some breakfast for us, or for you and for us to spectate. Show us just how agile you are. I'm feeling lucky. Oh, no. Let's see though. Let's see what happens here. Now I'm sure in this long grass, its method of attack is going to be launching itself into the air and landing down upon its prey, as opposed to trying to move through the grass to get to it. So we could see it spring up quite high and quite far. Now, even though it's not much of a breeze, it's going to, with its incredible hearing, be picking up other slight sounds all around it, and that's why I guess from time to time its one ear twitches off to the side, because it's picking up on some other audio. But it is certainly very, very honed in on something in front of it, and like a clever predator would, it is taking its time to assess the situation. It doesn't want to blow this opportunity. Stephanie, you would like to know what is the most favorite prey of a serval, and I think a lot would depend on the area that you find an individual serval in. They are widely spread across sub-Saharan Africa, and here in the Mara, I wonder if it's field mice that live out in these open plains or birds. I do not have enough knowledge on these Mara serval, or any serval really, because they are such a tricky bird, such a tricky animal to be able to follow. So again, I must reiterate, we are incredibly fortunate to be able to be witnessing this,
And again, we are coming to you live from the Masai Mara. Interestingly, a marabou stork has just landed behind it, which is basically like a pterodactyl, a modern-day pterodactyl, and that's why the serval temporarily looked back. But it's on the move again, so let's get back to the serval. And its prey may be slinking through this grass. If it is a rodent, it could be going about trying to find its own breakfast. So maybe this serval has got a little bit more work to do before it gets into a position where it can actually pounce. But it seems like it has somehow lost focus, lost intent. So who knows whether that was a false alarm. Look at those ears, how sensitive they are. Incredible. Robin, do other cats see serval as prey? Yes. There's a lot of competition within the predator kingdom, and basically any predators that are bigger than this will kill it as and when they get the chance to. So lion will, leopard will, cheetah will. I'm not sure how often that actually happens, but it certainly is a reality out here. Even though it's not direct competition, it's competition in a form. I'm guessing leopard will probably be the serval's biggest nightmare in terms of enemies, because a leopard, just like it, is very well camouflaged, quite a discreet and sly beast, so well equipped to sneak up and dispatch a serval. Look at that tail flicking. Why is your tail flicking like that? Are you excited? Are you hungry? Are you disappointed that little whatever it was that you were honed in on earlier has disappeared? These are the most incredible views, and I hope you are all loving this as much as I am. Now, thankfully, we are in a situation where I don't think we are going to lose track of the serval. It's going to be quite easy to follow it through this large open grassland, and I am going to do my best to stay with it for as long as possible. Whether it comes across any prey or not, that is a question that I do not know the answer to. But I think what we're going to do is, because it's not just the Facebook live safari that some of you have joined on, and we do have another live safari on the go. And there's various ways you can join in on that safari for those of you who want to continue watching the serval and see what other animals are out and about. But for those of you, like I said on Facebook, we are going to say goodbye for now, and we'll be sure to let you guys know if any action does appear imminent with the serval. Goodbye. Okay, I can communicate again. There's just a bit of an awkward silence that we have to perform while we say goodbye to the Facebook crew. How epic is this? To give you guys an idea, Manu, let's just show this tractor quickly because it's quite interesting. That is a basket from a hot air balloon. So they are ginormous things. I mean, we show you lots of views of them, but I just thought you'd be interested to see how big those baskets actually are. Those will be filled with up to, I don't know, Manu, how many people do you think could fit in that basket? 15. Manu is our pro balloon cameraman who's been doing that for the TV shows. And that's why I asked him for a bit of advice on that matter. We're going to stay with the serval. Like I said, we'll be sure to rush you back if it does find any possible prey. But for now, we are going to send you across to James to see what is going on his vehicle. Uh-oh. Seems like that could have been bad timing. You're still with us. That's good news. Phew, well done, Bex. I thought we had just linked at the worst possible moment. What has it found here? Now, I don't want to rush in just yet, but it seems to have caught something. I think it's pinning it down with its feet and biting it to kill it. And I'm sure it's going to lift it up into its mouth. Ooh, it has caught something. Just making sure no other predators are sneaking up on it. I wonder what it is. Pick it up. Put it in your mouth. Show us what it is. Oh no, it looks like it's gone down to feed on it. Let's see if we can get a bit closer. Well, we got to see the serval catch something. It wasn't the most impressive attack, but it was something quite interesting nonetheless. Let's just stop here. Oh, no. It's already gobbled it up, whatever it was. I just saw it licking its lips, and it got up and walked off. So it was tiny. Yeah, you can see it licking its chops. I wonder what it was. I'm guessing it must have been a tiny, tiny rodent. A one-bite wonder. Good. Well, let's see how long it takes before it finds its next little breakfast snack. It's obviously happy with tapas. Little bitings just to keep it going. And again though, like any predator, it will take whatever opportunity it can get. I've once seen a leopard eating tiny baby birds out of a nest before. The nest was kind of eye level in a bush, similar to one the serval's walking past. And it walked up to the nest and gobbled up the tiny little chicks almost out of what seemed like a bowl. Huh. Has it honed in on something else here? It seems like it has. I would love to have incredible hearing. Mine's bad, even with regards or in relation to most people or guides around me. For some reason, I'm not blessed with the best hearing, and often other guides out-hear me. But imagine having satellites like the servals. You could pick up the faintest of movements, even when there's lots of ambient rustling of grass around you. Ooh, there's something that needs to be careful that's moving through this undergrowth, and the serval is picking up its frequency, that is for certain. Oh, they are the most beautiful, beautiful cats. I love the way their spots kind of turn into dotted lines up along its shoulder blade and neck. And I do also thoroughly enjoy that short tail. Epic little beast. I hope we get to see whatever it does catch next, if we do see it catch something. Oh, look at the way it's slowly creeping in, putting each paw down as quietly as possible to try not disturb its prey. I wonder if we can move a little bit, because we're going to miss the action if it does in fact bounce. Let's try and get alongside it. It seems like we're going to be inviting our Facebook friends back onto the safari, just to let you guys all know. Oh, it's gone for it. It's got something, I think. It may have missed it, but it's just pounced. Did you get lucky? Let's wait here and see. Zoom in there, Manu. No, it appears like it missed. Oh well. We did have to move the vehicle to try and get the pounce, and it was inopportune timing. Oh,
a little scent mark. That's the first time I've seen a serval scent mark. Awesome. Hello to Fern. You would like to know if serval are in direct competition with other cats, and yes, most certainly its most likely direct competition will be the African wildcat, as well as the caracal or lynx, of which you do get both here. But even leopard and cheetah and lion will not tolerate serval and will kill them if they get the opportunity to. So there's kind of some direct competition and some indirect, but still very relevant threat in terms of the other cats that they do not directly compete with. Wonderful. Hello to James. You'd like to know if the smaller cats are more successful than the bigger cats in terms of their hunting skills, and I'm guessing no. I'm guessing they're all fairly unsuccessful as a general rule. Most predators are. It wouldn't make sense for them to succeed more than they failed, otherwise they would eat themselves into a situation where they are unhealthy. That's interesting. She seems to be kind of getting a trot on, and I'm not sure if it's because of us or because she is wanting to get somewhere quickly. So I'm going to just work that out. I don't want to overstay our welcome. If she has had enough of our presence, we will leave her be. She's already given us such great views, and we don't want to like I say, push the boundaries. So while we do that, you'll be glad to know that there are some other much larger cats on the move with James.
Well, there's one large cat on the move. That's obviously not any of them. That's the 1,000 wildebeest or so that have gathered in some kind of massing. Now, they've massed pretty much in the same way that they do at a crossing, and I'm not really sure why they've done that. They've got themselves into a huddle. They keep going up and down, trying to sort of decide which direction to go in, and I'm not sure why that is or what they're doing. Anyway, that's one interesting aspect of where we're sitting. The other is that the lioness, who I don't think is lactating, is heading off into the bushes there. Maybe she is lactating. She might have some cubs down there, but she doesn't look like she's lactating to me. And she might also be thinking about launching some form of attack from inside the drainage line there. Linda, you want to know how much energy a lactating lioness will lose? I mean, Linda, that's impossible for me to answer. I'm afraid I've got no idea how many calories or kilojoules a lioness who's lactating will lose per day. Obviously, it is a substantial amount in comparison with her normal energy requirements, and so yes, she'll have to kill a lot more. Yeah, I'm afraid I couldn't begin to tell you how many calories or kilojoules suckling, say, 3 cubs takes, but I reckon somebody could probably tell you. So if anybody has got any ideas, let us know. The other lions are sitting on the carcass at the moment. I'm just going to keep an eye while you look at those wildebeest. I just want to know if our lioness there is thinking about going on the stalk, or if she's just decided she's going to get some cover and wait and see what happens with the wildebeest a bit later. She might just be going for a short stroll. They've done that a few times today. They've got up, moved back across the road, come back this way, moved across the road, come back this way. I'm watching her now. She's